In this video, I'm going to give you guys a little bit more detail about my field review that I did on the Russian IRP. Now, I did menu number 5. We're looking at about 48, almost 4,900 calories. Now, calories are not just calories that are, we don't have a calorie receptor in our body. You're not going to burn 500 calories of chocolate the same as you will 500 calories of broccoli, okay? Just not the way it works. But you're getting a lot in that IRP. Now, it stands for Individual Neoration, which is individual ration meal. Not exactly true, because it's a 24-hour ration, so it's actually meals. So you're getting a lot for, that little packet. It's like 4.5 pounds for an IRP. Now, I wanted to go ahead and talk about if they're any good, if they're worth buying. Now, we're just going to kind of go back to the idea of having one in the field, and we need to talk about the Russian philosophy. Now, the Russian warfighting philosophy is basically the same as any other modern army. You're going to have different layers. You're going to have your front line, your immediate front line, like your little patrol bases or whatever. And then, of course, you're going to have your command element further to the rear in like a fire base or something like that. And then, of course, you're going to have a deeper rear where you'll actually have legit field kitchens or whatever. Now, where your commanders are, that's also where troops would, rest up. So it would be, like the fire bases. And you're not necessarily going to have a field kitchen there. Now, the Russians typically do like to have field kitchens, but the IRPs, these things are going to be seen more in like a training environment or in a fire base would probably be the most forward area that you would see them, but it's not unheard of to have them serving on the front lines. And yes, Russia is still in conflict in places. So anyways, that's really what we got to look at is the IRPs are typically going to be delivered by vehicles. We're not going to be airdropping, they're not going to be airdropping them out of their planes necessarily, because you can tell that because these things are not designed to be crushed like American MREs. You can throw them out the back of a C-130, have a failure for the chute to open up, ask me how I know, and they'll still be available. Now, the main meal might rupture, but everything else is pretty good. I had that happen to a Sloppy Joe, and it almost made me cry. But not feed a man for a week and then, give him that and an exploded Sloppy Joe and see how he reacts. So anyways, that's the idea behind the IRP is it's something that you're actually going to be fed in a more rearward setting or a rear setting where you're getting your fill, you're getting some food, and then you're going to be sent forward again. Or you're in training and you're expected to actually work, and usually if it's not worth giving you an entire day's worth of rations or an entire day's worth of food, you'll just wait until you're done working for the day. That's typically how the Russians work. You're not going to be eating. It's not like the Americans where chow is constant, as the saying is, or was for us. Chow is constant. That's what we'd be told constantly during our mission briefs. Chow's constant, so bring along something that's tactically sound. That's not really necessarily possible with this IRP, and that's what I wanted to discuss is the tactical items in this. There's very few of them. So when I was doing my field review, the problem that I had there was I was tearing it down constantly because this wasn't tactically sound, this is leaving too much trash, this is just left a sign for a tracker, and it's all true. That stuff leaves a lot to be desired in a tactical setting, but again, I was doing a field review for something that wasn't really meant for that situation that I was propping up. I get on my gear and I, do the pretend thing of being in a patrol base or whatever. But it's not unheard of that immediate rear troops that actually have time to cook their food will have IRPs, but they're not worried about being tactically sound. So that's where we need to be a little bit more realistic for the purpose of these meals. Now, I would recommend if you do actually want to get an IRP or try them out or whatever, I do think that they are actually good for emergencies like in the home or whatever, where you might have a power outage. If you don't have a gas stove, this actually might be worth getting a couple of them because they do give you a lot of food. They are really good at giving you energy without that burnout afterwards. Like US MREs mostly have sugar in them and a lot of processed stuff. This is a lot of real food. Yes, it does take time to prepare. Yes, it does require you to use the crackers in combination to kind of get more flavor out of them and more texture and stuff. And a lot of stuff is bland all on its own. But combine it together, it does take time, but it is actually pretty pleasing. So, tactically, probably not all that good. Not very many items, aside from like the chocolate and the drink mixes and stuff like that, would I pocket and just have on their own. I would actually take the drink mixes on their own and the sugar and stuff, I would just dump those things in my mouth. I used to do that when I was on deployment. But you know, it is what it is. There's really not much tactical use in those IRPs. Not to say that Russian meals aren't capable of it, but that's just been my experience. So anyways, this felt like kind of a waste of a video. I apologize. But I just wanted to go ahead and give you guys a little bit more information about the Russian IRPs and talk about if it's really worth getting or not. So anyways, leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think, if you have any experience with these things or you have a little bit more knowledge. But other than that, I appreciate you guys watching, and you guys